3,000 Cardiff fans descend on Swansea on a day of mayhem and carnage. 68 fans were arrested, 2/3 of them Cardiff. 23 arrests inside the ground and 45 in the surrounding streets and city centre. We let our contacts tell their stories. Cardiff soulboy Paul told us. What a day. I will never forget it. We totally bossed the Jacks from start to finish. The only downside was when we went round to try and take their north bank and got a bit of a bashing. But hey, there were thousands of them against our 500. Started the day by attacking their pub, the Cornish Mount, totally thrashing the place. The Jacks legged it out the back, but then found themselves hemmed in and had to climb fences to escape. On the way to the ground, we attacked anything that looked like a swan, including some actual swans. Inside the ground, I was with some Neath PT mates under the tiered stand, their east or west terrace. Can't remember which one now. Anyway, just after the kickoff, we decided to invade the pitch and attack their north terrace where their main lads were. About 100 of us, you can spot me in the photo, went right up to their end and took the piss. They shat themselves and wouldn't come on to have a go. Then the police turned up with dogs and we had to leg it back into the stand. Fights going off all over the place, especially the other terrace to where we were. At the end of the match, we all went round to their end, but they had seen us coming and were waiting for us. I mean, thousands of the buggers, and we had it on our toes all the way back to the station. If that wasn't bad enough, I got arrested and some months later ended up in court and had to pay a £100 fine. I wouldn't change a thing though. Those really were the days of our lives. Swansea fan Jack told us. I was managing a shop in Cheltenham at the time, and on the morning of the game told my assistant manager I was taking the rest of the day off to travel home and watch the game. I got on the train still in my suit, changed at Cardiff Central, and when we pulled into Neath, the train filled with Cardiff lads. I remember some blonde fella standing where I was still sat and kinda smirked at me sitting there in my suit, but he didn't give me any grief. Anyway, train pulls into Swansea, home for a quick change and off to the match. The whole day was mad and some Cardiff did get in at the north bank, but were swiftly dispatched. The rest of the ground was a battlefield, with skirmishes taking place all over really, even in the seats. I was involved when you lot decided to come around the back of North Bank to get us on our way out. Alas, we battered you all the way to High Street Station. On the way back towards town, about 100 of us were walking past the Dragon Hotel, and around the corner walks my little blonde friend with about 4 or 5 of his mates. He looked me straight in the eye and looked like his whole world had just ended. But I kept my mouth shut and let him on his way. And that's the way it was in them days. I don't remember feeling any hatred. It was all just a crack, and I never remember anyone getting badly hurt. The hatred seems to have started when the violence stopped, mainly by people who were not old enough to have been involved. Unusually for us, we have a third story from the day. A Chelsea contact has given us his recollection of the day he decided to go to this very match. It's so mad we just had to publish it. Hope you enjoy Alan's tale. Okay, so following on from Chelsea's cup game at Ninian Park in March 1984, and all the carnage of that day as Chelsea ran riot. I was a 17-year-old lad who had been travelling away with Chelsea since 1980. I was never a big player, or particularly hard, but I had learned not to run, had been thrown out of Stamford Bridge a few times, nicked away at Palace, and was up for starting singing off in the middle of the shed, and when we got off the special trains away. It always sent a shiver down my spine. I had also had dealings with Ken Bates, who I invited to my 6th form for a chat about hooliganism, and of course, being the top bloke he was, he drove his Rolls Royce to the school grounds and came to chat to us. I always felt he loved the fans more than he could professionally show. Anyway, I digress, and April 1984, and the most notorious game between Swansea and Cardiff at the Vetch Field. It was just before my 18th birthday, and I was on holiday with my parents at Butlin's Barry Island. I had made friends with members of staff at the camp who had a nice little firm called the Barry Boys, skinheads and casuals together. We had great drinking contests, and they knew I was a Chelsea fan. So as they were playing Swansea away on the bank holiday Monday, they suggested I came along. Not sure what they were thinking, but I couldn't say no, could I? We got an early special train, and I was introduced to lots of the firm. Halfway down the track, the train was stopped and the police got on in numbers and had a massive cardboard box that they were filling with bricks, bottles and axe and lots of other stuff. We were eventually allowed to continue. We got off the train in Swansea, and within a few minutes we met a few Swansea fans who were dispatched quickly. Then it just turned into a mass mourning of little fights here and there. Our numbers were about 50, I guess, in the Barry boys, but they kept getting themselves nicked. We were some distance from the Vetch Field, and after a while there were not many of us still in a group. We went into the Arndale Centre, and a big fight started with a bigger group of Cardiff and a big group of Swansea. I stood my ground, and then noticed police either end wading in, so I played clever and went into a greengrocer and bought an apple. Came out and a copper grabbed me. "No, officer, I'm from London," I said. "I'm on holiday." "Oh, okay, on your way, son," he said, and I ended up alone. I walked to the Vetch Field and saw fights all over the place. By this time I didn't know who was who, and so I kept myself to myself. Nearer to the ground I noticed some Cardiff fans wearing Chelsea shirts, the bumblebee-style round-neck shirt, and then a huge mob of Cardiff came along singing the Chelsea song, "One Man Went to Mow." In my mind I thought, well, they must have some respect for Chelsea, so I joined with them, and we had run-ins to the ground. We got in and I felt at home with them, even if on another occasion I'd have happily gone to war with them. But that's football. The game itself was carnage, as Cardiff fans were constantly being taken out of the home end, some serious injuries with flesh hanging off, and not a single Swansea fan in our end. So as a Chelsea fan, enough respect to Cardiff for taking it to them, even if they didn't take the home stands. We got out the ground at the end and had running battles all the way to the station. I arrived at the camp and my old mum asked me if I had a nice day. "Oh, quiet," I said. Into the night, the Barry boys got released, and we met up at the nightclub, and we talked about how a lone Chelsea supporter fought alongside his Cardiff City friends. Some 40 years later, I commented on a Facebook page, and a guy from that day who was in the Barry boys got in touch, and we reminisced. He said many of that firm still know each other and remember me, so Cardiff always have a place in my heart. We thank Paul, Jack and Alan for their recollections. It's clear that Cardiff invaded Swansea for this match. Let's not forget this is a local derby for both clubs, and this rivalry is pretty intense. Voted 6th worst in the UK, just behind the likes of Rangers Celtic and West Ham Millwall. What are your memories from this day? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really does help our channel grow.